I'm very pleased to greet you, young student, in one of the universities, wherever you are. And it's a pleasure for me to address you in this moment, saying that God has a specific plan for each one of you. He wants you to succeed, to have a wonderful life. And it's what he said in Jeremiah 29. He has a plan and a future for you and give you hope. So now that you are taking time to go to that special training online, I wish you all the best so you can discover that the public campus ministry is working for you, for your success, for your future, because where you are, Jesus is with you. All the best.
Campus Ministries is a ministry of the church to show that through the years, the church had had great concern for its youth who, due to circumstances, had to study in non-SDA institutions. These legitimate concerns were for the spiritual well-being of these young people, their potential for church leadership, and the contact they foster while in the various universities. Helpful for the church is this group of young people because in the future they have fostered relationship with dignitaries, with leaders of the various countries. Before Campus Ministries became what it is today, it was mostly a tool to recruit youth from SDA campuses to go as student missionaries to the various parts of the world. Very little was done for those studying on non-SDA campuses. 3 departments came together to foster this ministry under the leadership of Dr. Rassi from Education Department, myself in Church Ministries Department that was also leading youth, and also chaplaincy ministries. We wanted them to feel that the church appreciated them regardless of the environment in which they were studying. Chaplain ministry was mostly concerned with the youth in military service. They were brought in because they had the expertise of knowing how to minister spiritually to SDA youth in different environments. These 3 departments combined their efforts in what we know today as campus ministries. Founding principles are still valid and essential. Campus ministries is the church following the youth on non-SDA campuses, the church to counteract false science they may be hearing about on these campuses through the Department of Education, and help them to keep the faith. The church promoted them to be missionaries on their campus. The church encouraged them to befriend, follow civic leaders, as mentioned before, of the various countries. Now, these 3 departments combined their efforts. One, hitting the part of education. The other one, because of its experience in helping young people in non-church environment to maintain the spirituality like in the military. And the other one, church ministries or youth ministries, because we were those working mostly with young people. As we combined our effort in these 3 departments, we have fostered, we have helped, and we have guided young people through the difficult time they have while studying on non-SDA campuses. Campus Ministries is a ministry that has been a blessing, is a blessing, and by God's grace, continue to be a blessing. Dr. Rassi, Umberto Rassi, was the father of this whole idea. He brought us together, we strategized, we spoke to the GC administration, and so Campus Ministries as such was born with the sole purpose, saving and getting help from the young people that are active on non-SDA campuses. We hope it will continue to be the blessing it was intended to be until Jesus comes.
I want to introduce you to my friend and my mentor, Ron Piquel. He's an amazing man and over 30 years of campus ministries. What you think you know about campus ministries, he probably actually wrote the book and you're reading it now and resourcing it. This evening, you will listen to wonderful tips about how to start, where to go, and how to grow your campus ministries. He has taught us, and probably 1 out of every 7 persons you'll meet, he has taught them and brought them to Christ.
Thank you for staying with us in this program. I have some person, a special person, is Pastor Ron Piquel. Pastor Ron Piquel, who is Ron Piquel? Your family?
Well, I'm married to a wonderful person named Carolyn, and I have 3 children, Ryan, Joel, and Emily.
Your hobby?
Oh, one of my hobbies is playing guitar. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I also love to swim, and I love to walk, love to hike.
Your favorite food?
Oh my goodness, my favorite food is Puerto Rican food. Oh, but I love Italian food. I also like Indian food, and sometimes I like Thai food. You know what? I just love food.
You have a...
I also like Mexican food.
Oh.
Yes. The truth is, actually, Mexican food is probably my favorite.
You need come with us to Inter-American Division to taste different food in different places.
If I must. Yes.
You are welcome. Pastor, your dream?
My dream is to see more and more Adventist student ministries grow and develop on campuses, and to see public campus ministry to become a strong volunteer ministry like Pathfinders is in our denomination, well supported, well led, and strong throughout the world.
Ministry.
My ministry? My ministry is helping students develop their faith on campus. In fact, I actually did my doctoral dissertation on university faith development among students.
Who is Jesus for you?
Jesus is everything for me. Everything. Everything.
Young people?
Young people are, well, I'd have to say my wife comes next. But after that comes college students, college and university students. And probably the thing that I'm most passionate about in terms of message is that the kingdom of God has already come, and we are awaiting his soon return.
Okay, thank you, Pastor, to come with us and share with the Inter-American Division PCM Director and a student in different universities. Thank you.
It is my honor. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is a great privilege. We say in North America that if you want to change the world, you got to reach the campus. Now, why is that? Because the campus because the world is actually coming to the campus. We have over 1 million students every year from all over the world that are attending universities in North America. And if that's true in North America, then it's also true all over the world. So that's one thing. Campus ministry is very important because we're actually having an impact on the rest of the world when we're reaching students in our university. Also, the university is an important period in a person's life. It's the period in life where we make some of our most important decisions: who we're going to marry, who we're going to spend our life with, what our career choice is going to be. And the university is that time in a person's life when we're open to new ideas. We come to the university to learn. We expect to be engaged in what we're doing in life and what we're believing and in our relationships. So it may be the last great time in a person's life when we can really have those important conversations with people. It's also an important time because we're building those kinds of relationships that are going to last, for eternity. This is a time in a person's life when we're making such important decisions, and we need the kind of mentors and role models that are going to help us navigate those decisions. So if the church isn't involved in students in their life at this time of their life, then who's going to help them navigate those changes and those decisions? Another thing to think about in terms of the university, Stephen Lutz says that the university is the most strategic mission field in the world today. That if we're reaching the campus, we are making an impact on the rest of the world. This is important because of the kinds of studies that people are taking on campus. If you're a student of faith, then your faith is going to be challenged on campus with all the different kinds of ideologies that are present there. And so to be able to reach students when they're making these kinds of important life decisions is really critical. And we have the opportunity to share the gospel on campus. I think another reason that the campus is so important that we may forget or not think about is that God is actually present on campus. Sometimes we kind of have the attitude that until we get there, that God isn't there. But the truth is, we meet God there. God cares about students. God cares about faculty. He cares about the university and what's being taught there. And if God is present, then we ought to be present. We need to be the body of Christ on campus. We need to be challenging students with the truth of the gospel. We need to be bringing the Adventist message on campus. And this is another important reason why we need to be present on the university, why the Seventh-day Adventist Church needs to be present on the university campus, because we have a unique message. We have a message in the Adventist message that will actually maybe engage students with the gospel in ways that even other churches are not able to do that. We believe in the health message and the whole person, so we can talk about the gospel in terms of how it's going to affect every aspect of life. And we're also a world church. So we have students from around the world that are attending our universities. And we need to be helping them and engaging them with their faith. We need to be the kind of churches around those campuses that are caring about the mission there. We need to help our churches be engaged with the mission on campus. We need to help our pastors see how they can be effective in campus evangelism and campus ministry. And we need our churches to be the kinds of churches that students want to attend and they can feel comfortable about bringing their friends to church. We need to be the kind of church where students can bring their questions to church and know that they have a safe place where they can talk about what they're learning on campus. We need to help students not to move away from compartmentalizing their faith so that when they're on campus, they're working with their mind, and when they're in church, they're working with their heart, but they leave their brain on the shelf as they come into church. Now, we need to be the kind of churches that are actually engaging students with what they're thinking and helping them live out their heart and their passion for God on campus so that we're living holistically and we're not living compartmentalized lives. If you want to change the world, then you need to reach the campus. We can do that. Jesus says, let's do greater things in my name because I'm going to the Father. Let's do great things. Let's reach the campus together.
Para mí, PCM significa oportunidad. Yo podría decir que aquí di mis inicios en el liderazgo. Aquí yo conocí a una gran familia que me ayudó a crecer poco a poco en lo que es el servicio a Dios. Pude encontrar familia, pude encontrar amor en estos chicos que día a día buscan servir a Dios. Podría decir que también fue como una luz en mi camino, porque al inicio no era nada fácil ir a la universidad y pensar como que, hey, eres la única adventista de la casa o eres la única adventista de tu facultad. No, sino que al ir a esta reunión tú te das cuenta que hay muchos jóvenes que pasan por lo mismo que tú y que siguen siempre fieles a Dios. Porque como dice un versículo que es mi favorito, más busca primeramente el reino de Dios y su justicia y todas las demás cosas os serán añadidas. Y así mismo como Dice este versículo, Dios nos promete que sin importar qué pase, Él nos va a ayudar siempre si le servimos primeramente.
For various reasons, ranging from convenience, family constraints, expense, and limited degree programs, attending a 7-day Adventist university is not an option for you. Adjusting to college life is hard enough, but being a Christian on a non-Adventist campus can be even more challenging. One of the biggest concerns for many Adventist young people going to secular universities is integrating into the new environment and making friends. Believe me, I understand you. I lived it. I studied in an Adventist university, but during the summer, I had to attend a secular university. So I can relate with you. I want to give you 7 tips on how to integrate and socialize in a non-Adventist university. Number 1, be open to having conversations. Regardless of where you go in life, you are going to meet people who are different than you. That is what makes life exciting. Meeting people from a variety of backgrounds can open up your mind to a world of new ideas and perspectives. Sometimes you will disagree but still have a productive conversation about your beliefs and differences. The more accessible you show yourself to talk, the more you can share with others. Number 2, join a club or organization. This is another way, probably the best way, to find people warranted to have at least one thing in common with you. Check with the Office of Student Affairs or your university's website to see your options. You will probably find academic clubs, pre-professional clubs, cultural clubs, performing art clubs, or volunteer clubs. Join one that sounds interesting to you and get ready to meet lots of people with common interests. Number 3, attend as many school-related events as you can. Check the student's calendar or go to the Students' Affairs office and find out the events. You can attend sports, cultural, or academic events. Number 4, arrange a study group. If you're wondering how to make more friends in college, then you may want to consider starting a study group. This is a great way to connect with other like-minded students while strengthening your learning. This group can later be a springboard for creating a Bible study group. Number 5, find Adventist students in your university. Take the time to find out and look for young Adventists in your university campus. I assure you that there are. Finding people that understand and foster your faith is critical. Being able to come together in fellowship with people your age, often experiencing similar trials, is important, and it will make college feel more like home. Number 6, and most important, stay true to yourself. It is okay to say no to anything that makes you feel like you're taking a step away from God. It is normal to feel afraid that new friends will reject you once they find out about your religion and how we live it. Your new friends will ask questions about your religion, perhaps out of curiosity. Always answer with the truth. If you have chosen good friends, I assure you that they will respect you. They will not pressure you into doing anything you are not comfortable doing. This way, you know that you have chosen good friends who will be with you for what you are. Being you might not always align with what the majority is doing. There are times when keeping your relationship with God as a priority may seem like it's not worth it, but it is. And the reward is so much greater than college popularity or fitting in with the crowd. My last tip: there is no shame in asking for help. College is an environment where you can be surrounded by hundreds or even thousands of people and yet feel completely alone. The good news is that you're never alone. God is always with you. However, at times it might be hard to see that. If you feel yourself straying from your walk, don't be ashamed to ask your parents or church members to pray for you. Talk to your youth leader or pastor to get advice. And remember, Public Campus Ministries was created to provide ongoing support for your spiritual, intellectual, and social needs. My desire is that you have a successful college life and that your walk with God becomes stronger every day.
Hi, my name is Natasha Richards, and I'm a campus minister here in the North American Division on Southeastern Conference. One of the main things that I do and I love is connecting with our students. There's a couple of things of advice that I would give to you as far as being a campus minister, or if you are a chaplain. That would be one, pray. It is important for you to have a consistent, strong relationship with God in order to take care of your students and to connect with all the resources that you're going to need for your campuses. The other thing is make sure you connect with your students. We have a thing that we say, let's take them out to coffee. Let's go meet them where they're at. One of the main things is using Christ's method. Meet their needs, network with them, connect with them, and then as you are consistent, they will come to your programs. The other thing as a leader, which is important to me, is the parent side. One of the biggest motivations for me in taking care of my students is seeing every student as my own child. I came into ministry because it was important to me that my kids grow up in college, in high school, or even in their elementary schools with good mentors and empowerment that will foster them into a better relationship with Christ. One of the key things that is important for you is to connect with your resources. That means the union, the churches, your local pastors, because what you don't see on campus, they see in their local churches. Campus ministry is an amazing world where you can meet students from any culture, from any faith, and it's something that will grow you as you grow your students. So please remember that God is the reason why we are on these campuses. So it is key and it is important for your relationship with Him to be the utmost importance. Let people see the Christ in you.
I started in campus ministry myself way back in 1985, and we actually had a student center on campus. I was at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and I was a brand new chaplain. We had a lot of resources there. We had a student center, and we had students who were already involved. But oftentimes I get asked the question by students who are just starting a ministry on their campus, how do we even get started? How do we launch? The first thing I always tell students and anybody who's wanting to start a ministry at a university campus is pray. And when I say pray, I don't mean just have an opening prayer. I mean maybe go around the campus and do a prayer walk around the campus. Just paying attention to the students that you see there. Become familiar with the area. Begin to sense that God is present on that campus. And stop at the different buildings. Stop at the library. Stop at the stadium. Stop at the different buildings on campus and pray over those buildings and pray for what God wants to do there. Get a sense of God's moving on campus and that He's present before you even show up there. And then the next step, we talk about the 7 steps for launching a ministry on campus. The next step is to begin to partner. Partner with the groups and partner with the students on campus, or anybody that you know of that might join you in wanting to be involved in this ministry. Find out if there are any faculty that on the campus that are attending your church or any students that are attending there, and begin to form that partnership. Let the conference know, let conference leadership know that you are wanting to start reaching out to your campus. And then we talk about connecting. Begin to connect with students specifically that are attending there. And then I get asked the question, well, what if there are no students? What if we don't have any students on campus and yet we're a church that's near a campus? Well, one of the things that churches can do is find out if there's an international house on campus. If there are international students studying at your university, oftentimes international students would love to meet students from your country and find out more about the culture, get to know some people who are hospitable and care about them, maybe help with some of the holidays that you celebrate in your country. And that's a way of connecting. Students who are coming from other parts of the world, other countries, they're looking for people who will actually be hospitable and caring for them. And that's a way just to begin to connect. The next step is to gather. Gather any of the people or students that are interested in helping. Gather them, maybe begin to start having a Friday night fellowship. Opening the Sabbath is a great way to begin to start something with students who are attending the university, especially if they're Adventist students and they need a way to begin the Sabbath. Have a meal at somebody's house nearby. Invite students to help plan that meal and to plan that event. We always remind both our students and our church members that campus ministry is a ministry that is of students, by students, and for students. As church members, we can be supportive, and we always say that campus ministry is kind of a three-legged stool. It's a student ministry. It's got to be a ministry by students, but it's a ministry that is supported by the local church, and then it's resourced by the conference or by the church structure. So we want to gather students and get them involved in whatever we're planning to start things off. And then we want to organize. If your university is supportive of student organizations, and usually they are, student organizations are some of the best ways for students to really find community around whatever topic or whatever issue that matters to them. Organize yourself into an Adventist fellowship on campus, and then you can begin to table and let your group be known, find other Adventist students, and begin to grow your work. And then you want to network. And what I mean by network is, connect with any other campus ministry groups that are there. Use social media, use Facebook, use Twitter, use Instagram, any way to get your information out there. Sometimes the university actually collects data about your religious organizations, and you might be able to get a list of Adventist students who are attending the university. So you want to network with those students and network through social media, maybe even have a website where you can connect with one another. Maybe even let other churches in your conference know that you have a ministry on campus and your church is supporting that. So if they have students that are attending there, they can get involved. One of the important things to remember is that campus ministry is a network, and so students really connect with one another. And then finally, just enjoy. Enjoy what God is doing, be a part of what God is doing, and just watch how God is going to grow your ministry.
School can be rough. It's a new place with new people, new grades, new distractions, practically a new life. So what am I supposed to do? It gets hard sometimes, trying to keep up with it all. Trying to remember to pray, to keep my grades up. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do when it all gets too much?
Are you alright? What's wrong? Stress from what? School? You can't let school stress you out. The race is not given to the swift, but to those who can endure. I promise you, if you see you pray, God is going to work it out for you. You know what? I have the perfect idea. I have this prayer voucher, and I want you to read it because I want you to know that I am praying for you, and I promise you, God is going to work it out like He did for me.
Visiting some universities, especially church universities, I found something very interesting. A couple of young business administrators had decided to form a program to help people. They decided that they wanted to benefit India. Making a long story short, they realized that if a family received a cow, they would climb out of poverty. Therefore, this club wanted to benefit as many families as possible in India, getting them out of poverty. Then they get money, sent that money to India, ensured that it would buy cows of quality for the environment where they were to be, and hundreds of families have been benefited by these young people. Do you know? The university was very interested in supporting the initiative of these young people. The dean of the faculty and professors supported this work. And let me tell you something, that club became an element of quality for that institution. Today, I would like to invite you to reflect on how we can influence a non-Christian university to have Christian groups on campus. The university is usually defined as the stage in which the future is built. And it is true. But the university is also a living present that is extraordinarily influencing the present of the society it serves. Some universities have national influence, others international. Some smaller institutions have local influence, and others have regional influence. Regardless of the university in which you are, you can be an influence for the welfare of your classmates, your teachers, and the society in general. Let us return to our topic, being a Christian and exercising Christianity at the university. Jesus said in Matthew 5:14 and 16, "You are the light of the world." And added a very interesting statement. A city which is built on a hill cannot be hidden. And then he said, in the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see the good works and praise your Father in heaven. If you want to exercise influence in your university, start by being the light Jesus talked about. As Christians, how do we show the light? By the way of our love and action, by means of works that benefit those who are around us in the university. Many pressure groups form at the university. Others have a political approach. Others have social focus. Some assume postures that transform them into violent collectives, and no one wants to hear about this. But if you are a Christian, begin to exercise a positive influence. If you start to bring benefits to your institution, believe me, you will call attention in a positive way, and many doors will open. Your actions may even reach the university president's office.
or maybe even the administrative board governing the university. And even more and more spaces may open up. The famous politician and father of the nation, for some, Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." To the extent that you live your Christianity affecting others positively, you will exert an influence and spaces will open up for you. You will catch their attention and you will be able to generate Christian groups within a non-Christian university. The Lord gave us the commitment to share the gospel. The main tool He left us was our own testimony. Be a committed Christian, and you will benefit your institution.
How did I learn about the group? Basically, once in my university, we were told that there was going to be a conference in the Monterrey Technological Institute, and I was very excited because it was about IT, and I'm studying software development. I was walking at the campus, and a girl came to me and said, "Would you like to do a challenge?" And I accepted, of course. And she told me it was a reflective activity. If I remember correctly, there were some images that had a message. Well, a challenge, really. And you were supposed to call a friend, ask them how they were doing, hug someone, and encourage someone that might have been down. I liked the activity a lot. It caught my attention, and it's something that attracted me to it. I liked the group of persons that were there. They were very nice to me. I went to the group and they told me it was at Friday at 5:45. And I started to attend. And until now, I'm still attending, and it's something that is very exciting. It's something that changed my life. I have heard a lot about the Word of God, and it's something that is very special to me. I decided to come and to learn more, and now I have been baptized already, and I'm still attending.
We like to remember that campus ministry is a volunteer organization. It's a new ministry that is occurring within our church, but it is a volunteer ministry. There are going to be very few places where we can actually afford to pay professional people. We need professionals. We need all levels, but it's always going to be a very strong volunteer organization. It's kind of like Pathfinders. You know, you look at Pathfinders and it's an amazing organization that is run primarily by volunteers. And we like to say in public campus ministry that one day public campus ministry will be as strong and as well organized and as an important ministry in our church as Pathfinders is. So what do we need to do to organize? Well, in the North American Division, we have been concentrating on organization, and we want to help every level of our church structure begin to organize and grow and strengthen ministry at each level. And that starts with the local chapter. A local public campus ministry chapter on any given campus, what it needs primarily are student leaders. Oftentimes, to recognize a student group on campus, you're going to need at least 4 leaders. You're going to need a president, you're going to need a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. On some campuses, you need maybe up to 5 to 10 signatories who are student leaders. And those student leaders are crucial. Another important leader in a local chapter is a faculty volunteer or advisor. They're sometimes even more important than the local pastor, because the pastors come and go, but that faculty advisor or that lay person in the church that really cares about the ministry, you know, they're going to be there for the long haul, and they're going to help students as they come and go, because students come in and out of the program. Then, of course, the local pastor. If the local pastor is really involved in caring about the ministry, that's also going to help. And then at the conference level, we want some designee, either the youth director or someone appointed by the youth director to be like kind of a campus ministry volunteer coordinator that can help the youth director, kind of like, you know, our Pathfinder coordinators who work with the conference youth director in running the Pathfinder organization. And we want to build an advisory of public campus ministry at the conference level, which will include student leaders and maybe a volunteer faculty and a lay member who cares about ministry, and maybe even a couple of local pastors or two, that we create a conference advisory for public campus ministry. And then we want to have that same advisory at the union level. So all the campuses within a conference that have a campus ministry, we want them to be on the conference advisory. And then all the conferences within a given union that are operating and growing campus ministry, we want them to be a part of a union advisory. And then at the division, we want to have a division coordinator. And a lot of times that's going to be the division youth director, or it may be that the division youth director, because he has so much to do, is going to also appoint a volunteer public campus ministry coordinator to coordinate this area. And we say this because campus ministry is not youth ministry. It's a different ministry. It has to do with academia, it has to do with chaplaincy, it has to do with young adult ministry, and it has to do with the local church, and it has to do with evangelism. So it actually connects with a lot of different areas in our church. And you know, if we think of campus ministry just as a youth ministry program, we're probably not going to really understand the full gamut and the full impact of this ministry. So we probably need to develop those people who really have a heart for this unique ministry. One of the great things that campus ministry affords for us is leadership development. Students get to step up and learn how to be leaders because they're the key people, the key component of the growth of a campus ministry program. And oftentimes when students serve at a leadership level, they can put this on their resume that they were leaders in a campus ministry program. And so it becomes important leadership training for them. It's also a great opportunity for us to be able to mentor students. Now, mentoring is not like, it's not teaching in the sense of like, you've got to pass this class. It's more coaching. It's more helping students actually develop the gifts and the talents that are there and encouraging them and strengthening them. But it's always remembering that they're the ones that are in the lead. It is their program. But we get to come alongside them with our experience and be able to encourage them and help them in that process. So if we really want public campus ministry to grow like it needs to grow, because actually the majority of our students are not in Adventist colleges, they're in public universities. And we need to develop this ministry. We need to grow this ministry. This is a ministry that is going to help us actually engage our world and evangelize students on campus, to grow the faith of our students in an environment where their faith is really being challenged. This is a ministry that's really going to help grow the impact and the message of the Adventist Church throughout the world.
It is a privilege to speak to the youth attending the university, having such an awesome challenges of evangelizing in the campus where you study. So as I deal with evangelism in the educational centers you attend, I want you to consider the following. First, I want you to understand what the Bible says in regards to evangelism. Jesus did three things with his disciples. I would like to see these three same things become key elements in the campus evangelism you develop. Let me read Mark chapter 3, verses 13 and 14. Jesus went up into the hills and called unto him those he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12, designating them apostles, that they might be with him and that he might send them to preach. Look at the very important things Jesus did as he chose his evangelistic team. Now imagine Jesus descending from the mountain. When he came down, the only thing he had in mind was to meet the crowd. Jesus always divided his time between the mountain to pray and the multitude for the fulfillment of his mission. Here is the first thing. He climbed the mountain to pray. When he returned, he called those he wanted because he had a purpose to fulfill. You will always find Jesus amidst the multitude fulfilling his mission and in the mountain praying. We can say there are two very important aspects here. First, the communion, then the fulfillment of his mission. For his communion, Jesus climbed the mountain, and for the fulfillment of his mission, he went to the midst of the multitude where he could fulfill his mission. Never notice that Jesus did not stay praying all the time. He would have been a fanatic without real contact with the people he wanted to evangelize. But then he never stayed with the multitude all the time, because he would have been a self-sufficient preacher without a source of power for the fulfillment of his mission. We can imitate Jesus in our preaching, an evangelistic example. He dedicated time for prayer and time for the fulfillment of his mission among the multitudes. As Jesus descended the mountain, he saw the plentiful harvest. The fields were ready for the harvest, but there were not enough laborers to take in the harvest. And there is where you and I come into the picture. Jesus prayed to the Lord of the harvest to send workers to his field, to the tables. And there you are. When Jesus descended from the mountain, he called those he wanted, appointed them disciples, 12 disciples, a small group, and designated them apostles for two things. So they would be with him to educate them and to send them to preach. Here, my dear young people, we have the four elements of evangelism. First, communion and mission. Second, the calling from Jesus. Third, training or education. And fourth, sending them out to preach. Evangelism has an environment. Now the question is, how can I generate the evangelism environment? First, we will generate it by the spiritual communion and mission. Secondly, It is generated by training and education. Jesus called the 12 to educate them. It would be a formal or an informal education. In this case, it will be an informal education because you will be giving you the tools so that you may develop and use them in the university environment. Education is essential. It occurs through teaching and through the discovery of innate gifts or abilities you possess as you render them to the service of the Lord. Romans 13, verse 11, gives us an understanding of, in the light of the prophecies and the Bible, that will help us understand the people and to be aware of what understanding the times means, to make the knowledge of Jesus to the people. Education is very important in evangelism. We have already seen that as we generate the evangelistic environment, we must first generate a spiritual environment, then an educational and training environment. The training is important because this is where we give to you the tools you can reach the people where you are going to preach. Then it's the inspirational environment. We must be inspired, motivated in the process so we can reach the greatest possible number of people where we are developing our ministry. In this instance, in the university environment. As we preach, we must inspire in such a persuasive manner that we reach their hearts and move them through Jesus to compassion, to make them passionate, to reach people through the gospel and take them to the feet of Jesus. Members, in this case, all of you, are inspired to share their soul-winning experiences with other individuals, with your team members, and with the people we want to reach. In other words, we must inspire people through our preaching, inspire them by our personal testimony. Between these two things, I think the most effective is your personal testimony. I recommend that in the educational environment, you prepare your personal testimony as a very important element to touch the people's hearts. There is nothing more effective than you telling the youth, the people in this educational environment, in this postmodern environment, what Christ has done for you, how he has done it, how he has reached you. You must encourage people through your testimony. I want to encourage you to organize your testimony in such a way that it becomes your sermon to bring others into the kingdom of heaven. The other aspect is communication, or how we are going to communicate the message. Let us review. We have seen that as we generate an evangelistic environment, we will have a spiritual environment as well. Communion and mission. We will have an educational training environment. We will learn to develop the skills we have, the gifts, the talents of preaching, the communication talent, the talent we use to resource to get to the people. Then comes inspiration of the people through testimony or preaching, whichever makes you feel most comfortable. I personally suggest you use your testimony, organize your testimony so you reach the hearts of the people surrounding you. Now comes communication. This is how you will do it. How are you going to communicate this message to those around you? I think it is not sufficient just to announce a coming of an evangelistic program. I think you must share those plans with an evangelistic team organized within the university. We must involve the greatest possible number of individuals so the message is rapidly transmitted by word of mouth. This is achieved in two ways: through a small group or through an evangelistic campaign. The evangelistic campaign may have a particularly elusive title or name. For example, a future brimming with hope, hope within the conflict, peace and hope for the conflict, peace and hope in a world in crisis, etc. You may think of many other alternative names, but you must organize it in a manner that it awakens an interest to come to listen to what you have to say. You must announce it through the means of mass media channels, WhatsApp, Messenger, Facebook, or whatever other you may rig to connect to as many young people as possible. You may also send letters, postcards, memos, posters, use university and department newspapers and bulletins, bulletin boards, whichever the university department allows. The same instance, you may be ready to ask permission for post your announcements. You may hold your meetings in a room or facility, or the student union may assign you for this purpose upon your request. Now, how long can your campaign be? The tip of the iceberg is 1 week. Your groundwork preparation may take 3 to 6 months. You must keep in mind to begin with your personal testimony, and from there, build on it. Expand the experience with Bible studies, which can be done in a small group context. The decision-making week is when proclaim your message through publicly, a live message. A decision week. This topic must be decision-making topics as well, and you will have the fields nurtured, matured, ready to grasp the wheat. The table is not, just the fields are ripe now for the harvest. I would like to help you now establish a schematic sequence or outline. First, in evangelism, you must generate an environment, a communion and the admission environment. Secondly, an education or training skills for those you wish to have involved in the process. And the third is the inspiration of those you will inspire with their testimony of what the Lord has done for you. And now is the communication, which is live preaching, but there must be a preparation. You must do groundwork, a preparation beforehand. A preparation is of utmost importance in order to give the message in the university setting. Do not launch a campaign without the proper preparation. In order to do this, you must prepare a team, an evangelistic team. Once this team is in place, you will not work alone. There will be a preacher, like a torchbearer, the face of the team. There will be a prayer commission. There will be a reception commission. There will be an advertising or propaganda commission, a projection commission, a theme or topic sequence commission. You may be the preacher, but keep in mind that the preacher is 10% of the team, and the rest of the team is 90% of the whole. Therefore, it is very important to establish a team in the university environment for live preaching. The best way to achieve this is to generate a spiritual environment through the small groups ministries. May God bless you. I hope these tips will help you in the evangelism program, preparing in the preparation for the process.
PCM ha sido una de las mayores bendiciones que he tenido por parte de Dios, puesto que en este grupo he encontrado una familia, un grupo de amigos que me han ayudado en cada una de mis adversidades. La verdad es que PCM, desde que yo entré, me enamoré completamente de este grupo, pues ellos me han ido influenciando cada día más en cambiar mi comportamiento y reflejar la luz de Cristo en cada uno de los aspectos de mi vida. ¿Qué más puedo decir? PCM para mí es lo mejor del mundo.
We often talk about 10 essentials for successful campus ministry. In fact, I and a friend of mine, Kirk King, have written a book on it called The Word on Campus. And you can purchase it through Advent Source if you want to read more about it. But one of the essentials that we talk a lot about is campus outreach. I know evangelism is kind of a dirty word for some people, but we shouldn't think of it that way. The truth is, if we start an Adventist fellowship on campus and we have our Adventist students that are coming to that and they're involved together, they're reading the Bible, they're engaging their faith, that's a great thing, that's a good thing. But if it doesn't go beyond that, if our Adventist students don't catch the sense of mission to the campus, then their faith really won't be challenged and won't grow. Until we're actively sharing our faith, it's really not our faith. It's somebody else's faith. It's our pastor's faith. It's our parents' faith. But when we have to communicate that faith and share that faith, that's when it really becomes our own. And we begin to experience God actually teaching us and speaking. The Holy Spirit is giving us words and ideas and bringing things to our mind. And we feel used. We feel that we're actually a part of God's mission. So I'm often asked, well, how do we do that on campus? How do you do campus evangelism? Well, there's a lot of different suggestions. I always say that the most important thing that we need to do is to actually think of ourselves always as being on mission on campus. That every day we wake up in that day and we pray that God might use us. There's a great little book called Surprise the World, five spiritual habits of missional people. And I recommend that. You can actually download a free PDF of that book online. And Michael, I can't remember his last name, but he talks about the acronym BELLS, blessing 3 people each week, eating with 3 people each week, learning from the voice of the Holy Spirit, really focusing on Jesus and learning about Christ and about his methods and how he mingled among people and reached people. And then he talks about sharing. So BELLS, bless, eat, listen, learn, and share. And that's something anyone can do. We may feel like, well, I'm not an evangelist, I'm not a pastor, so that's the person who's specially trained for that. But Paul talks about even if we don't have the gift of evangelism, we still are called to be on mission with Jesus. We're called to pray. We're called to represent our faith on campus. So that's something we need to always be doing, and we need to encourage that. And when we do that, our campus ministry will grow, and we'll grow personally, spiritually. But there's also things that we can do that can really reach the campus and reach students. Sometimes we think, well, you know, we're coming from a biblical worldview, and people aren't interested in the Bible. They don't believe in the Bible. That's not their source of truth anymore. Well, that may be true, but what we can do is start talking to people about the kinds of things that actually matter to them. We can talk about truth, the truth that they're dealing with in their world. And so we need to be tuned in to the kinds of things that people are concerned about and questioning. And then we can begin to talk about those things, and we can even bring in what the Bible might say about some of those issues. And people will be surprised that the Bible actually speaks about those things. One program that we are doing in North America is called CRAVE Campus Outreach. And we've actually developed a whole resource kit on CRAVE. It has the PowerPoints with it and the presentations. And we talk to students about their cravings and how their desires and their cravings are actually leading us to our ultimate craving for the meaning of life. And that's where God comes into the picture. But we invite them to write about their cravings, what they crave, and maybe we ask them why they wrote about that and what that's coming from in their life. And then we invite them to some meetings, a couple of TED Talks each evening for 3 nights. And we feed them and we talk to them about relationships. We talk to them about sexuality. We talk to them about God. And we talk about how all our cravings are leading us to the ultimate meaning of life. Now, there's lots of other simple things that we can do too. We've done this thing called Let's Talk, and we have written on a postcard, you know, Let's Talk, and you'll be surprised how many students will actually appreciate the opportunity just to talk, just to have somebody listen to them. And in those conversations, we may have opportunities to grow even deeper with them. If we do, then we'll invite students to a Let's Talk cafe that meets 1 night a week in a local coffee shop, and we can continue the conversation with them. There's many ways that we can reach students. Another way that we've done this is to test your Bible knowledge, where we invite students to just answer questions about the Bible, and they find out how little they know. And then we invite them to just read the Bible, not into a Bible study, but to actually just read one of the books of the Bible. And we find out that there's many people that have never even read the Bible. And when they do that, they find out really how interesting the Bible is, and we can engage them that way. There's lots of different ways to connect with people. We need to be looking constantly at how we can reach people and connect with them where they're at. Find the wells where people are meeting, like Jesus did with the woman at the well, and maybe even ask favors of them and start the conversation.